mentor. He's going to be very interested with some of the on-course decisions that are made. He had a feeling that one has to just be a little bit more understanding of the distances that you can hit, because my distances have varied, because I think the contact and the ball impact has been a bit varied, and I think at the end of the day I need to keep working on the smoothness of the swing. The smoothness of the swing transfers into the ball flight, which I've been trying to work on. But in the course management side of things, getting off the tee might not even be, what I'm trying to do with the ball. I think I need to have a better target line to which, puts me into a certain type of balance. Because if you can't see the shot and put yourself, where you need to be, then how do you actually get balance? So there's a good thing to, sort of take from this podcast, is if you're looking at where you need to work backwards from, if you've got a front pin, which happened quite a lot in this Saturday afternoon round, I mean, you don't really need to be always hitting a wedge in, but at the end of the day, you need to hit a shot that maybe goes past the pin, and you are making your distance not front, but maybe center of the green. And especially with the wind helping, the center of the green becomes the target, and then unfortunately you have to take on the front of the green if you've got a tailwind. So working back with the right line of attack for a front pin is completely different to a back pin, and you've got to work backwards. I mean, if I just think about the best hole that I'd played, and it was the birdie hole, the front pin didn't really change my decision on the tee. I mean, I knew I was hitting a shot that was going to keep the ball low, and I was going to be somewhere inside 150 meters to the front. And that was the thought process going through my mind. But what actually should have happened was I should have taken notice that the pin was 6 on from the front, and if we work backwards, where do I want to be to hit a shot that is going to be below the hole to give myself the best chance for birdie? And that is actually going to work out with the wind condition, because okay, fine, what does it take for me to hit a 9-iron into the wind? Fine. A 9-iron into the wind is going to be a 125 meter shot. That is now what you would do 9 out of 10 times in a practice scenario. So that 9-iron has now become the scoring club, because you know that with a gap wedge it's not going to be the same, because you know that this particular hole, the exposure to the wind is more than other holes. So you choose the 9 because of the actual ball flight, compared to the gap wedge 50, because the gap wedge 50 would actually talk to a distance that's 150 meters with no wind. But I've now factored in the 2 club wind, and with the pin being 6 on, the actual distance that I'm now looking for is 121, 120, 119, 118 meters from the front. So now you've got to look at the situation. If I want to be 118 front, what shot do I need to hit? Oh, I need to hit a 3-wood. So the 3-wood versus the 3-iron comes in now. So 3-wood, where's the risk and the return? Far greater than the 3-iron. The 3-iron got away with a hell of a birdie there, but when it comes down to club champs, 7 out of 10 times, 3-wood, if you're hitting the 3-wood like you should, it's going to come. You're going to hit a low piercing draw that puts yourself in that 118, 119, 120, 121, 122 meter spot. Then you know the club, it's a 9-iron. And the 9-iron is going to be the scoring club, and you know it. So I think I've just taken quite a lot out of that, because that's actually going to be a sum total of the last 8 rounds, because this is it. On-course decision, work backwards. What am I comfortable hitting off the tee? What is the actual tee and fairway asking for? And what am I actually prepared to play with? Because the partnering of the clubs, considering the wind, considering the pin position, is the important decision to be made. And that could be taking my focus away from the scoring aspect. It could be taking my focus away from the, let's call it the alternative format within the game that you're playing against the course. So I think it's time for me to sign off. I'm going to be putting in some big time because it's back to work. And I'm going to keep up the headspace exercises daily, because I feel that's only building up my mental toughness. Not to go out and just hit balls and balls and balls. That's wrong. I need to actually say to myself, where's the scenario? This is the scenario. There's the stroke one scenario. Go and practice that scenario. That's the scenario. That's going to play more than any, because how many times you go to the range? I mean, I probably hit maybe 25 balls where you say, fine, boom, 50 degrees working today. Your 50 degree is working because you have put yourself in a scenario where you've now not coupled this with any, let's call it supporting shot or supporting approach. So you've now pulled 25 shots for what, when you only use it once or twice? That's the issue. There's the issue right there. I've only pulled 2 scenarios out of the 25 practice scenarios. That's no good. I'll be better off if I knew that more likely the scoring clubs is the 9-iron and the 8-iron and the 7-iron. And I'll do whatever it takes to get myself off the tee box, to give myself that 9, 8, 7-iron 3/4 swing, which is not really different between my stock and my high cut. And then you would actually be able to tell the difference. That's going to be 14 out of 18 right there, because the par 3s would have more of those scenarios with a 9, 8, 7. The 50 degrees, great. If I'm hitting 3 woods all day, sure, maybe 9, maybe 10 gap wedges can be hit in one day, but I don't think so. I think the golf has reached a point where you're going to have 3 or 4 scenarios per wedge. So if I'm carrying 4 wedges, fine. I've got 3 wedges that I'm probably going to hit 3 to 4 times each, probably 3/4, and you have to score with those clubs rather than scramble or recover with those clubs. So I'm going to be signing off now. This is my post-round analysis, working backwards, considering the scenario, because it was nice to play the Lakes. I haven't played the Lakes in a while. It's no excuse, but there's a scenario that is playing out on every hole, and you want to actually start looking at each 3-hole, let's call it challenge, in a certain way, and I really need to align my practice with that. So that's me signing off. Hope you have had a good one.